You know that feeling when you reach the end of like a ridiculously busy, exhausting day?
Oh, yeah. You just completely crash.
Right. You finally collapse onto the couch, you stare at the ceiling, and you think, wait, what did I actually accomplish today?
It's the worst feeling.
It really is. Because you were running on a treadmill at maximum speed for, what, 9 straight hours?
Yeah.
Firing off messages, attending all those meetings, putting out fires everywhere.
Right. Just constant motion.
Yeah, but then when you look for a tangible result, like a finished project or a solved problem, or even just a step toward a major life goal,
There's nothing there.
there is absolutely nothing to show for it.
Yeah, it's a uniquely modern kind of exhaustion, honestly. You feel physically and mentally drained, yet entirely unfulfilled.
Exactly. Why is that?
Well, the disconnect happens because we are operating under this completely outdated paradigm. Like, we approach our days absolutely obsessed with time management.
Oh, totally. The whole calendar blocking thing.
Right. We block our calendars, we schedule every 15-minute increment. But, having time blocked off to do a task is completely useless if your mental energy is fractured across 10 different tabs.
Yeah, and like 3 group chats.
Exactly. And just this constant background hum of anxiety.
Which brings us to the mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
If you are listening to this right now and feeling like you're just, floating along on a river of notifications and other people's emergencies, this one is for you.
It's so necessary.
We are diving into a fundamentally different approach today based on excerpts from the book Focus on What Matters. We're going to build a step-by-step plan for busy professionals to finally reclaim their focus.
And the very first conceptual hurdle to clear here is shifting your mindset away from managing your time and toward managing your attention.
Which is huge.
It's everything.
Right.
Because whatever you focus on, you literally become, if you focus your attention on fear, your life becomes defined by hesitation.
Right, or if your attention is constantly hijacked by, comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel.
Which we all do.
Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
But if you do that, your baseline state just becomes deep dissatisfaction.
What's fascinating here is the underlying mechanism is really all about control. If you cannot control where your attention goes, you essentially forfeit control over the trajectory of your life.
Wow.
Yeah, and the loss of that control is rarely some dramatic, catastrophic event. It's incredibly insidious.
It sneaks up on you.
Right. It starts with the smallest, most innocent-sounding lies we tell ourselves. Like, I just need a quick break. I'll watch just one video.
Oh, the just one video trap.
Classic. Or,
I'll just check this one thread to feel informed.
But algorithms are engineered by the smartest behavioral psychologists on the planet to ensure just one turns into a chain
a
reaction.
reaction that suddenly eats 2 hours of your prime cognitive window.
Exactly. You stop directing your life and start just going with the flow of what, a server farm decides you should look at. Let's unpack the biology of why we fall for that so easily, because I think it's important to note it's not a character flaw.
Yeah, not at all.
Our brains are literally biologically wired to seek out the easiest, most calorie-efficient hit of dopamine available.
We want the easy win.
Right. Thinking hard, wrestling with a complex problem, or doing deep work in it, it physically burns glucose. It takes real energy.
Whereas scrolling through a feed is entirely passive. It requires zero effort, but it still delivers that steady drip of dopamine.
Exactly. So we naturally gravitate toward the instant, easy path because our evolutionary hardware just wants to conserve energy.
Makes sense biologically.
Right. But in the modern knowledge economy, choosing that easy, instant gratification is the exact formula for remaining completely average.
Honestly, I take that a step further. It doesn't just keep you average, it actively depletes your capacity for higher order thinking.
Because energy is finite, right?
Strictly finite. You do not wake up with an unlimited well of cognitive bandwidth. Every single decision, every context switch, every emotional reaction to a news headline.
It all draws from the exact same daily reservoir.
Yes.
So think of your daily mental energy like a smartphone battery. You wake up at 100%. But if you immediately open social media in bed and then fret over a passive-aggressive email.
Ugh, the morning emails are the worst.
Right. And then you worry about the news while making coffee, you are basically leaving massive background apps running in your brain.
You're silently draining your own CPU.
Exactly. So by the time you actually sit down at, say, 9 a.m. to do that critical needle-moving work, you're already sitting at 12% battery.
And that low battery state is exactly when you hear that familiar internal voice say, I'm just not in the mood today.
Or, I need more inspiration to start this.
Right. But it is a biological fact masquerading as a lack of motivation. You haven't lost your capability. You've simply squandered your daily focus currency on meaningless noise.
You paid for someone else's digital story using the currency you needed to write your own. That's rough.
It's brutal when you look at it that way.
Okay, so understanding the drain is kind of the diagnostic phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know the battery is dying because of these background apps.
Yes.
But closing those apps requires a massive amount of sustained behavioral change. To actually motivate ourselves to endure the discomfort of changing our habits, we really need an internal anchor.
We have to define a personal why.
Right, because relying on a sudden burst of motivation after listening to a deep dive like this, it'll only last about 72 hours.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, before the old baseline habits pull you right back under.
Well, motivation is an emotion, and emotions are inherently unstable. A core why is a structural foundation.
So how do we find that?
To find it, the source says you have to bypass the superficial goals like, I want a promotion or I want to be respected, and ask questions that force a real visceral reaction.
Like what?
The approach recommended is to ask yourself somewhat morbidly clarifying questions. For example, if I found out I only had 1 year left to live, what would I spend today focusing on?
Wow, okay, that escalated.
It does. Or if my industry collapsed tomorrow and I could only save one specific skill or project to build my future, what is that one thing?
Those questions really force you to strip away the shoulds, right? Like all the things society or your boss tells you to care about and find what you actually value.
Precisely. And the utility of having that defined why is that it acts as a polarizing filter.
How so?
When your ultimate purpose is incredibly clear, distractions stop looking like harmless little breaks and they start looking incredibly expensive.
Oh, I see.
You see a pointless meeting or a social media rabbit hole not as a 5-minute detour, but as an active theft of your time away from your core purpose.
But even with a clearly defined purpose, there is this huge psychological trap that derails professionals constantly, and that is perfectionism.
Oh, perfectionism is a killer.
Right. Like we build up our why to be so important that we become terrified of executing it poorly. So we decide we have to do it perfectly.
And we spend weeks researching, organizing our desk, picking the perfect software, and agonizing over the very first step.
See, I have to challenge that premise a bit, though. I mean, if we are talking to an audience of high-level professionals, isn't the pursuit of perfection the very thing that separates exceptional work from amateur work?
It's a fair question.
Like if I'm hiring an architect to build my house, I want the ruthless perfectionist. I don't want the person who just throws a blueprint together to maintain momentum.
Sure, you want their final output to be flawless, certainly. But we are talking about the daily execution required to get to that final output.
Okay, distinguish those for me.
Perfectionism at the starting line actually kills focus because it induces paralysis. It traps you in the theoretical planning phase, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
If you look closely at the psychology of it, perfectionism is almost always just procrastination wearing a very nice suit.
Huh. A nice suit. I like that.
You get to feel like you are working because you are strategizing, but you are actually just hiding from the vulnerability of producing a bad first draft. The required shift here is choosing progress over perfection.
So, prioritizing moving forward.
Yes. You must decouple your self-worth from the immediate result and focus entirely on the process.
Because the result, like whether the book is a bestseller or whether the client accepts the pitch, that's heavily influenced by external factors you don't even control.
Precisely. But a daily, imperfect process is 100% within your control.
Right.
If you commit to doing an hour of deep, focused work every single day, even if what you produce on a Tuesday is total garbage, you have maintained the momentum.
You haven't broken the chain.
Right, you've strengthened the habit. And over time, that daily imperfect action compounds into the high-level mastery and perfect results you were originally aiming for.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So choosing progress over perfection maintains momentum and long-term focus. Okay, so we have the internal architecture built.
Yes, the foundation is there.
We found our why to sustain long-term motivation, and we've lowered the barrier to entry by choosing progress over perfection. Now we have to look at the physical reality around us, don't we?
We absolutely do.
We have to audit our external environment, our workspaces, and our social circles. Because trying to rely purely on internal willpower to fight off distractions is just a losing game.
Willpower is like a muscle. It fatigues the more you use it throughout the day.
Exactly.
Willpower is the backup generator. It should never be your primary power source.
Yeah.
The people who seem to have superhuman focus aren't using willpower. They have simply decreased the noise around them.
They set themselves up for success.
Right. They operate on systems. If you want to change your behavior, you have to drastically alter the ecosystem you inhabit.
Okay, let's unpack this. It's really like the diet analogy.
Yes, perfect analogy.
Trying to do deep, meaningful work with your smartphone, sitting face up on your desk, is the exact equivalent of trying to start a strict diet while keeping an open box of fresh donuts right next to your keyboard.
It's torture.
Right. Even if you don't eat the donut, your brain is expending precious cognitive energy, actively suppressing the urge to eat it.
It's draining you.
And every time the phone screen lights up, even if you don't pick it up, your brain processes the interruption.
In cognitive psychology, they call that attention residue.
Attention residue.
Yeah. When your focus shifts to the flashing phone screen, a piece of your cognitive capacity stays stuck on wondering who just texted you, even after you look back at your monitor.
Wow, so you're not even fully back in the work.
Exactly. That's why the mandate for deep work is absolute. You do not put the phone on vibrate. You do not turn it face down. You remove all phone distractions during deep work entirely.
Get it out of the room.
Yes. You remove it from the room. You uninstall the apps that serve no purpose other than slot machine distraction. You design an environment where the default, easiest action is to do your work, not check a feed.
And auditing goes beyond just the physical objects, right? It applies to the social environment, too. We have to suggest ways to audit workspaces and social circles to really reduce external distraction.
Oh, 100%. Because of mirror neurons.
Right. We subconsciously absorb the behavioral norms of the people we spend the most time with.
We do.
So if your immediate social circle at work consists of people who spend, 3 hours a day complaining on messaging apps, forwarding memes, and doing the bare minimum to get by.
Their lack of focus will silently infect your baseline.
Exactly. You have to actively curate a space and a network that normalizes the intense focus you're trying to achieve.
Which brings us to the actual execution phase. We have a clean environment, the phone is in another room, the internal motivation is locked in. We need the professional's playbook.
A step-by-step plan for busy professionals to reclaim their attention.
Exactly. So when you sit down at the desk at 8 a.m., what is the step-by-step routine? Step 1 is brutal prioritization. You need to identify 3 daily priority tasks.
Wait, only 3?
No more than 3.
Because most people I know start their day by staring at a to-do list of like 35 different items, which just induces immediate panic.
Yeah, a list of 35 items isn't a strategy. It's a wish list. When everything is labeled as a priority, nothing is a priority.
That is so true.
Having 10 things on your list usually means you're using 7 easy tasks to avoid the 3 hard ones.
Oh man, calling me out.
Right. You have to decide before the day begins, what are the 2 or 3 essential tasks that will tangibly move your life or your project forward. Everything else is secondary. So identify 3 daily priority tasks, period.
And to protect those 3 tasks, we move to step 2, which is filtering the noise.
Okay.
Before you accept a meeting invite, before you volunteer for a committee, you have to ask a deeply uncomfortable question.
I know the one.
Is this truly necessary for my goals, or do I just want to look busy?
We all fall into the busy trap.
It's so easy to do.
Looking busy is incredibly seductive because it mimics the feeling of productivity without requiring the friction of deep thought.
Yeah, like answering 20 emails makes you feel like a crucial part of the team, but it rarely produces lasting value.
Exactly. That filter alone eliminates a massive percentage of daily distractions.
And that leads directly into step 3, which is outlining a routine to relentlessly separate urgent noise from truly essential work. This is where the real battle is fought every day.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is the defining conflict of modern work.
Urgent versus essential.
Right. Urgent tasks are simply things that demand your attention immediately. A ringing phone, a Slack ping with a red dot, a colleague popping their head in.
They're loud.
They are loud, but they are often someone else's priority. Essential or important tasks are the quiet, difficult things that actually change your life, like writing a strategy document, learning a new skill, analyzing data.
Because the urgent things are loud, they hijack that dopamine system we talked about earlier. Putting out a tiny urgent fire gives you a quick hit of satisfaction.
But doing 3 hours of quiet essential research doesn't give you a reward until months later.
Exactly. So the routine has to be structured so you do the essential work first, usually in the morning, before you ever allow the urgent noise to enter your sphere.
If you start your day by checking email, which is really just a neatly organized list of other people's urgent demands, you will spend the rest of the day playing defense.
Wow, that's a great way to put it. Once you have protected that time for the essential work, you enter step 4, which is executing deep work. And the cardinal rule of deep work is zero multitasking.
Zero. It is a biological impossibility to consciously focus on 2 complex tasks simultaneously. What you are actually doing is rapid task switching.
And that triggers the cognitive switching penalty we touched on.
Yes, the attention residue.
Right. Every time you switch from a deep strategy document to check an incoming email, your prefrontal cortex has to halt, unload all the rules and context of the strategy document, and load the rules and context of the email.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
And when you switch back, it takes your brain an average of 23 minutes to fully reload the original context and get back to peak focus. You are literally hemorrhaging mental energy on the transitions.
That is exactly why multitasking drops productivity into the floor. You aren't doing 3 things well, you are doing 3 things shallowly and exhausting yourself in the process.
So what are the specific habits for professionals to sustain this?
The specific habits for professionals to sustain deep work are non-negotiable boundaries. You close the physical door, remove all phone distractions during deep work completely out of sight, close every browser tab not directly related to the task, and focus on one single objective for a set block of time.
The leverage you get from that is staggering. I mean, an hour of unbroken, completely insulated deep work is neurologically equivalent to 3 or 4 hours of the average distracted multi-tab work most people do.
It's a superpower.
You don't actually need to work 12 hours a day to outpace your peers. You just need to conquer your own internal distractions for 2 or 3 hours.
But, we have to address the elephant in the room here.
Which is?
You can build the perfect system. The phone is hidden, the door is locked, the 3 daily priority tasks are written down. You sit in the quiet room to do the essential work.
And suddenly, the distraction comes from inside the house.
Right. Your brain suddenly decides that right now is the absolute most critical time to organize your desktop folders.
Or it brings up a cringeworthy thing you said at a networking event like 4 years ago.
Exactly.
Why does the mind rebel exactly when we finally give it the space to focus?
Well, because the untrained mind is terrified of a vacuum. And deep work often begins with a period of intense discomfort and boredom.
Okay.
When you encounter a hard problem in your work, cognitive friction builds up. It feels physically uncomfortable. Your brain immediately looks for an escape hatch to relieve the pressure.
So it serves up a random memory or an urge to check the weather in a city you don't even live in, just to avoid the friction.
Exactly. But real growth only happens after that boredom hits. In the moment, you want to abandon the task, but you choose to sit in the discomfort and push through.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We need to talk about the dog training analogy, because it completely changes how we view mental discipline. It shows us how simple awareness is the tool that builds focus.
Yeah, think of your attention like an untrained puppy.
Okay, a puppy.
If you take a puppy into a park and let it off the leash, it doesn't walk in a straight line. It runs at a squirrel, barks at a car, sniffs a tree. It reacts wildly to every stimulus in its environment.
Just chaos.
Right. Your mind, in its default state, is the puppy. An untrained mind equals constant distraction.
Now, when a puppy wanders off, you don't start screaming at it or analyzing its childhood trauma.
Yeah.
You don't have an existential crisis about why the puppy isn't focused.
No, you just gently, without any emotion, pull the leash back and say, sit.
Exactly. And you have to do that with your own mind. We tend to get so furious with ourselves when we lose focus. We think, I'm so lazy, my brain is broken, I have no discipline.
And that emotional reaction spikes cortisol and ruins your focus even more. Building mental discipline requires absolute emotionless awareness.
So what's the practical application?
When you are writing a report and you suddenly find your hand reaching for a phone that isn't there, you just catch the impulse, tell yourself, not now, and gently return your attention to the screen.
Not now. I love that. It is such a liberating phrase because it implies that the urge to distract yourself isn't a moral failure.
Not at all.
Your brain isn't broken just because it wanders. It just hasn't done enough reps yet. Every single time your mind drifts to a random thought and you catch it and say, not now, You aren't failing at focus. You are doing a mental bicep curl.
You are actively building the neural pathways of discipline.
And you must rely on that system of reps, not on how you feel. Discipline is what steps in when motivation expires.
Yes. If you only execute your 3 daily tasks on the days you feel perfectly rested and inspired, your output will be entirely random.
But if you've trained the dog, right, if you have built the awareness to catch the wandering mind and gently pull it back, you learn to maintain momentum regardless of your mood. You become a professional.
And that points to the ultimate transformation here. We aren't just talking about life hacks to squeeze out a few more emails.
No, it's way bigger than that.
When you implement these systems, when you define your personal why to increase long-term motivation, choose progress over perfection, audit your environment, remove all phone distractions during deep work, and train your mind to sit through the boredom, you are constructing an entirely new identity.
You are becoming a person who remains calm in chaos, clear in the noise, and stable under pressure.
You step out of the reactive cycle. The modern world is always going to manufacture new emergencies and new digital slot machines to steal your attention.
You can't change the environment of the world, but you can build an impenetrable ecosystem around your own mind. So we've covered a massive amount of ground today on shifting from time management to attention management. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over.
Ooh, I like these.
We talked about finding your ultimate why by asking what you'd do if you only had 1 year left to live. But try running this experiment on yourself today. Imagine a complete stranger, like an auditor, was given access to your digital footprint from just the past 24 hours.
Oh.
They can see every click, every minute spent on every app, every show you watched, and every article you skimmed. Based purely on where you spent your finite attention yesterday, what would that stranger assume your life's ultimate purpose actually is?
That is a deeply confronting metric. The data doesn't lie about what we value.
It really doesn't. And the more important question is, does that digital footprint match the person you actually want to become? Because you become what you focus on. So the next time you sit down on the couch at the end of an exhausting day, make sure the exhaustion came from building your own life, not just reacting to everyone else's.